So welcome to this demonstration of Excel Connect. Excel Connect is a data retrieval and reporting tool that works from within Microsoft Excel. It has its own tab in Microsoft Excel called Excel Connect. And what I'd like to show you today is retrieving some data and building a report to show the final result. So we're going to set up some data. So the data that we're going to set up, this could be data from SimCore Dimension, it could be data from Charles River, it could be data from BlackRock Aladdin. So I'm going to show you a couple of databases, different databases and a spreadsheet, and combine all this data for you. So the first data I have is from an Oracle database containing some HR data. The next database I've got is from a SQL Server, which has got some project data in it. And the last one, I've got a spreadsheet where I've got some company data in it. And I'm just naming my data sources here as I want to. So now we've named them, we'll go and select some data in these databases. So I'll get some HR data from our Oracle database. So on my computer, that is called PDB-ORCL. It's from a database or a user called HR. And as soon as I've done that, we get into a query builder where we will be presented with all the tables and data that this user has access to. So HR is where we want the data to come from. I am interested in employees and the jobs that these employees have. So quite easy in the query builder, just click on the various tables and it will also understand how to link these various Oracle tables together. I could write some SQL if I wanted to, that's what the query builder is doing for us, and I can check the result of the Oracle data by clicking on the data tab. I'm happy with all that, so I'm just going to go ahead and say OK. And I'm going to finish this data source. Moving on to the next one, which is from a SQL Server. So again, on my machine, this is my SQL Server. And my database is called Projects. Again, I get a query builder. Now, this time round from a SQL Server. And I select the table that I have in the SQL Server. Again, I could write SQL, and I can also check the data from the SQL Server. So I'll just say OK to that and finish that data source. And then moving on to my company data, which I said I would get from a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. So that's one that we want. Again, with spreadsheets, it's also a query builder that we have access to. Again, we could write SQL if we wanted to. Let me just double click on that. We could write the SQL, and again we can see the data that will come from that Excel spreadsheet. So I'm happy with that. I've done all my data sources, all my disparate data sources. Now it's time to combine them and create some result sets. So I'm going to create two result sets here. I'm going to create one result set that is all the data that came out of Oracle, and then I'm going to combine it with all the data that came out of the SQL database. So I'm just going to do a straightforward inner join between these two disparate data sources. So doing an inner join, obviously, I will only get the data that is in both Oracle and SQL Server. So I'll say OK to that. And what I want to do now is I want to create another data set, a result set rather, with all the data that came out of the Excel spreadsheet. let me just go ahead and rename these. Let's call this one HR projects. That's it. And this one we will call data, company data. Like so. Right, I'll finish all of this, and what Excel Connect wants us to do now is to save this as a connectivity map. That is, all these data sources, all these result sets, we bundle up into a file, into a connectivity map that we can access later. So I'll call this HR and company data and save that. And what we can now do is we can select this connectivity map that we've just saved. And that will go off to the various disparate data sources, combine them into the result sets, and present us with the data. So this is all the data from the Excel spreadsheet that we called company data. And this is the combined data from the Oracle database and the SQL Server. And we can see right out the end, we can see that this is indeed the SQL Server data that has been combined with the Oracle data. So I could go ahead now, I'm in Excel, I can use the data as I see fit, but what I'd like to show you with Excel Connect, the data retrieval being one part of Excel Connect, we now want to present the data. So one of the Power Apps that you get in Excel Connect is a report designer. And as it says, you design a report by clicking on it. So I'd like to select one of the two data sets that we have retrieved, one being the HR projects. So this is a report designer like lots of other report designers. So within this report, I'd like to have the first name of people, which is data which happen to come out of an Oracle database. I'll get the last name of them as well, like so. And down here I want their project title, which happen to come out of a SQL Server, which we've now combined, and I'd like the working hours that they're working on the project. So that's one thing. We have two data sets that we've retrieved in this connectivity map that we're using. And for this report, I'd quite like to combine them. So I'd like to do a sub-report. So if I put the sub-report down here, like so, I'm asked what template I want to use for the sub-reports. I've just got default one, and then I'm asked which sub-report, what data source I'd like to combine with the main HR project. So that's the company data that I want to combine. So I've got the field employee ID I've got in both data sets. And that's the only thing that I need to join these two within the report. So we'll just go there, and this is actually the sub-report that I'm now designing. So I don't need a report header for this sub-report, and what I'd really like to do, this is company data that I've retrieved. I'd like to get the ISIN, and I'd like to get the name of the company out like so. And so that's all I need in my sub-report. So we'll say finish to the sub-report, and we'll tidy this up a bit like so, and then I think we'll do like that. So that's all the information that I need. So we can just go out and test this and see what happens. So this will fire up in Excel Connect and retrieve the data, and indeed we've created a report which is a further combination of Oracle, SQL Server, and the company data which originated from an Excel spreadsheet. So I'd quite like to tidy this up a bit, so I'll go back into the designer. I'd quite like to put a header up here. Let's put that up there like that, and I quite like to get just a logo and put that in there. We tidy that up a bit like so, and put that up like that. Maybe also just put a dividing line in to make it look a bit neater, like so. That doesn't look quite straight. If we just take the same y values here, like so, that it gives us a straight line, like so. Okay, and then we'll just say OK to that, and OK. And that, there you have it, a nice report. So what we can do is we can save this report, or save this Excel spreadsheet, and Excel Connect will come up and ask us if we want to refresh. So I've prepared this earlier. So I've got a spreadsheet here called Combined Data. So if I double click on that, it'll start that spreadsheet up, and it'll ask me, would you like to refresh from the underlying data sources before you present the reports. Again, exactly the same spreadsheet and report that we have just created before. And that's a short demo of Excel Connect. I hope you liked it.